Alright guys, so I have taken a little bit of time off from my stand review series. Apologies. Just kind of got away from me with a bunch of other stuff and just doing other videos for the channel. Not that these were performing super amazing anyway, and I mean, they were kind of average, but anyways, I'm going to be finishing off the series, obviously, and there's 3 episodes to go, including this one called The Walk. And as I always do, I'm going to be reviewing the episode itself and then making comparisons from the episode to the book from the best of my recollection. So, in this episode, it starts off with the trash can man stealing the nuclear bomb from the silo or wherever he was. Um, Another thing about this show, first of all, it has started to lose some steam for me. I'm going to be 100% honest. And this is going to sound really bad, but totally to no fault of this show's own, it's really tainted with some of its cast, including Mrs. Hurd and Mr. Miller, Ezra Miller, for what we know of them today. It's so unfortunate, and I feel so bad saying it, but it's true. It's just, you see these characters and you know them in real life, especially Trash Can Man, played by Ezra Miller. The guy's a fucking freak. He does really good in the show, but I wonder if he's acting. You know what I mean? I wonder if he's acting, because he is a fucking nut job in this show. And, I mean, the stories I've heard, you never know. But anyways, we begin the show by him stealing the nuke before the title credits, or before the title card rolls anyway. And everybody's at the hospital because they found Mother Abigail, and she is basically on her deathbed. And she calls everybody over like she does in the book. It's really played out fast, though. She kind of like wakes up, and then she tells the woman beside her, like, get everybody over here right now. Okay, all of you have to, not how I'm talking, obviously, but all of you have to, like, go on a mission, and God spoke to me, and he wants you to go on foot and take nothing but the clothing on your back, even though they do take other things. And one of you is not going to make it, and God didn't tell me who wasn't going to make it, but one of you is going to fall before you get there, and yada, yada, yada. So they're basically given a mission to go walk to Vegas to fulfill a prophecy and basically save or destroy the evil, you could say. Then there's a motorcycle crash involving Harold and Nadine, and they're speeding down the road, and Nadine purposely makes Harold go off a cliff, which he goes flying in slow motion and lands on a tree. It's really gross, and all the sound effects are really, really effective. And he's down there, and he also broke a leg, and then Nadine is just like, all right, I guess it's just not going to work out. This is for the best. See you later, Harold. I'm just like, you bitch, man. Holy crow, just leaving Buddy back there with no remorse whatsoever, even though you like, that's the biggest lead on that you could possibly do to a character, basically. There's a great conversation with Franny and Stu in their kitchen, which is played out extremely well. I love the music choice that they used there, and just the conversation that they're having with Mother Abigail, what she said about God's message and what their plan was, what was said to her and stuff like that. And Franny's just like, are we all just pieces for God to play in any way he wants? And is everybody in Vegas pieces for the other guy to play, meaning the devil? So it's a really great contrast between good and evil, hell and heaven, God and the devil. And I really like how this show plays out like that. And I really liked how the book played out like that as well. Harold's slow death is really, really brutal. Even though he was such a horrible character, you can't help but feel bad watching somebody have to suffer for that long and have that slow of a death. But at least he's left with a gun, and he makes his own choice as time goes on, and his choice is to end his pain, basically. There is this sign, and I don't remember if it was in the book, but there's this sign on the road that's supposed to say, "The lamb's reward is the laughter of his children," but somebody spray painted an S beside laughter, so it says, "The lamb's reward is the slaughter of his children." And I read it, I was like, does that say slaughter of his children? That's not very biblical. And then I saw it was spray painted. I'm like, oh, laughter. Okay, I got, ha ha ha, that's funny. And yeah, that I got a little chuckle out of that one. The crew finds Harold. He's basically a skeleton at this point, and Larry, who's such a great character, Larry's definitely one of my favorite characters in this show, still feels remorse for Harold because Harold basically led Larry to Boulder and impacted Larry, and if it wasn't for Harold, Larry wouldn't have even made it probably. So he's like, as bad of a thing that Harold did, he still did something for me, and at least that little piece needs its thanks. I mean, you can't get a better guy than Larry. He's great in the book, but his character development in this show and the way he's written is absolutely amazing. When Nadine and Randall meet, they kind of get into that kind of dream world that Randall Flagg or the Dark Man creates, and they have their basically he takes her virginity, so she becomes his wife, and they have this kind of vanilla but kind of aggressive sex simultaneously. It's really funny to see, but they flash between the desert and the Caesar's Palace or wherever they are. So they're in Caesar's Palace, but then the ground will start changing into sand, and they'll end up like still in the desert, and it goes back and forth. So it's very satirical that way. And then we have basically the climax of this episode where during the walk to Vegas, where these it's in the well, I'm not going to make comparisons, but in the show there's these four people walking. There's Stu, Glenn, Larry, and this woman named Ray, and the four are walking. They get to this part of the road where the road is broken, so they have to basically climb down, forward, and then climb back up to get to the other side of the road. And Stu ends up breaking his leg, and he seemingly seems to be the one that falls, which is heartbreaking because he made a promise basically to come back to Franny, and is carrying his child, so you're left to wonder he's the one to fall. Like, that's such a, and him being such a great character, and one of the most developed characters, like aside from Larry, but one of the most developed characters and one of the show headliners. So it's really, really sad to see and emotional the way they made the scene and the dialogue between him and Larry and him and Glenn, but he's ready to stay there and he's ready to accept his fate and allow everybody to go without him and do what they need to do. There's a big change in Nadine after the make love scene where she basically turns into this like white dressed, very blonde haired, 1960s looking, almost Marilyn Monroe-ish woman. And there's that song, "I cast a spell on you because you're mine." Whatever that song's called, I forget what it's called, but they're driving in like this car down the desert, and it's a really cool and a really well shot scene, so wasn't bad. And then there's this limo that picks up the crew, the three that's left. So Glenn, not Stu, sorry, Glenn, Ray, and Larry, and Lloyd shows up in the limo, the basically Randall's sidekick, and they kidnapped, not well, I'm gonna say kidnapped, yeah, these three because Randall knew exactly where they were in the desert, and they bring them right to Vegas and basically right to Randall. So I guess they got to Vegas faster than they thought they were gonna get there. At least they didn't have to walk all the way, but they're in evil's hands right now. And the show ends where you see. By the way, I like how they play "Baby Can You Dig Your Man," which is a song that's mentioned a lot in the book. So I don't know if they made a cover of it or something like that, or if they played the original song. But "Baby Can You Dig Your Man" is a song in the show. And the final scene where this episode ends is with Nadine, and she's looking very I'm going to say this. She's looking very Sherry Moon Zombie in Halloween 2. Okay? Um, that's instantly who she reminded me of. She's got the white dress. She looks more like very pale face, like white hair kind of Sherry Moon Zombie in Halloween 2. But that's who she reminded me of completely. So that's how that show plays off. And now comparisons to the book. I fucking hate how they did Nadine. In the book, especially with that sex scene when they go back and forth between the forest, in the book, the sex is way more violent. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that I want to watch a guy have violent sex with a woman because it's enjoyable. No, I'm just saying it's a big part of the book. And afterwards, Nadine goes basically catatonic. She has no dialogue after that. She's basically a stone faced, pale white doll, essentially. And she's like catatonic. Like he has to move her around, and they're in the desert for a long time eating coyotes and shit like that, and roasting animals on the fire before they get back to Vegas. And it's just more sinister and dark. And the way they made Nadine this like pretty beautiful woman in a white dress, and that's as far as they went with it, I'm just like, come on, you're so vanilla with this shit. Like, I know you can't go as dark as Stephen King does in his book, but you can go a little freaking dark. I mean, the show's rated R. It has gore and it has swearing, so why can't you go at least a little bit dark? Like, anyway, I didn't like the way they did that. I did like the kitchen scene between Franny and Stu a lot. They executed that beautifully, lifting it from page to screen. They also lifted from page to screen the bike accident with Harold very well as well, and the slow death of Harold as well. As for Stu's broken leg, it was one of the most emotional and shocking reads that I've ever had. Like, I was devastated, okay? And like, I'm not going to spoil what happens with Stu or Glenn or Larry throughout the book, but this was the biggest shock that I read in this book. And as for the show, they did good. In still bringing that emotion to the episode. But the book, like, see, the book just stretches everything out. Even Mother Abigail at the beginning of the episode, it's just, she goes too fast. It's a show, I get it, but like, those are big scenes, especially when she's sending them to Vegas and sending them on this, prophecy mission. Like, it does play out a little bit too fast. It's cool the way they ended the show with Nadine and her having this big pregnant belly, and she's all a kind of demon-like, I guess. Not demon, but like dead girl, I guess. But fuck, man, that is such a scene that they wasted, because it's so well done in the book, and it's so important that her hair turns white and she becomes like catatonic, and like he basically fucked the energy out of her. But in the show, she's like turned into a devil goddess. Like, she's like this evil, beautiful, like she's supposed to be like good looking, whereas in the book she like became lifeless and like a puppet basically. I know it's, maybe I just like it because it's dark. Maybe I'm fucked up a little bit, but I don't know. The book just did it so well that I don't know. Vegas looks great, and I really, really love how Randall basically turned Vegas into his like look at me, I'm the best in the world kind of thing. Every screen has his face on it. He has a voiceover looping, like giving like little quotes and stuff like that, and his face is like, everything is like a commercial of him. So I found that really cool because it's very egotistical, like Randall Flagg is. So there's really there's things in this episode that are really lifted off the page very well, and then there's ones that are butchered. And I'm telling you, Nadine and Randall's meeting, their first meeting, is butchered because they meet in the desert, and then they stay in the desert for a while, and he does his thing, and it's more It's way darker. Whereas this one, she just kind of like, she parks in the desert for a little bit, and then I'm like, oh, here it comes, and then she just ends up already in Vegas. It's like, give me a break. I think that's it though. Harold, the journal when Larry's reading the journal from Harold. I like that you get somewhat of sympathy for Harold, but not too much. And yeah, I think that's all I got here. Um, yeah, read the book. That's my That's my conclusion to this. I will be doing the next two episodes. I do promise that. Subscribe to Morgan Film Fan if you like to listen to my voice or if you like my film reviews. I'll be back with more soon. Check out the Stand Review series. Episode 1 till now is on the channel. Check out my other videos and stay tuned for more. Until next time, take care and cheers.